Two, three, four, five. There's six of them.
Show up when you're right.
It's okay, baby. I just have to find which one it is. That one says wait.
My name is Delrico J. Lloyd, and I am the chairman of the Genesee County Board of Commissioners. It's an honor to be here to speak to you today. As you know, Genesee County is a beautiful place. It's a large place. Our constituency and our jurisdiction includes 11 cities, 17 townships, and 5 villages. We have an awesome group of leaders that are totally committed to creating a model of leadership for our entire county, every board, every entity, of what civility, professionalism, and collaboration looks like in leadership. So much so, recently on January 2nd is when we had our swearing in. We had, as a commitment to that collaboration, regardless of party affiliation, regardless of the demographics of our respective districts. We had a Democrat elected as chairman of our commission. I nominated a Republican who was elected as the vice chair of our board. And then we also had a mixture of Democrats and Republicans that were appointed as chairpersons of committees. And on every committee that we have at Genesee County, whether it's finance, whether it's government operations, and so on and so forth, wherever there's a Democrat as a chair, there's a Republican as a vice chair. Wherever there's a Republican as a chair, there's a Democrat as a vice chair, because we believe, just as Stephen Covey so sagaciously suggested, that leadership is not just about what we say, but leadership is more so about what we do. And so I just wanted to come today on behalf of the entire Genesee County Commission and the hundreds of thousands of residents that make up our beautiful county, just to say that we're here on their behalf to collaborate with you, to work with you. We have awesome partnerships with entities across this county, including University of Michigan. There's work that we have done with Michigan State as well. And we look forward to also, as an entire board, working with Mott College to forge awesome partnerships, awesome and productive partnerships that will serve the residents of our entire county and those outside of our county too, who would even seek to call our county one day home. I wanted to say that and talk about the model of leadership and how we're functioning at Genesee County as I take my seat, to encourage that same level of commitment and dedication as leaders here at Mott College. We have interest in what happens at Mott College in the sense that this is such a premier and such a coveted, respected institution within the boundaries of our community. And so what happens here matters. How we support and collaborate with you matters. How you interact with each other, it matters, because at the end of the day, we're all elected officials, either elected or appointed. And when the residents look at the challenges of this community, they generally, a lot of times, loop us in the same bucket, right? And so it's important for us to hold each other accountable, but yet to work together to make this community a better place than we found it. So again, thank you so much for your time, the opportunity to speak. Congratulations to the new trustees. I'm so excited, and but also look forward to great and awesome things happening up from where you've been. Thank you.
Hello, Michael Freeman. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
And thank you, everyone, for joining in. We are back this year, the Wyntis Hall Show, and the first guest, of course, I had to set it off with Michael Freeman. He's just Mike today. We're just gonna call you Mike today.
Right.
Just Mike.
Just Mike.
Just
That's
Mike.
fine.
That's who he is today. He's just Mike. And Mike is here to talk about some things. So when you guys are coming in the room, make sure you hit that like button and share it for me. Sorry that we are late. We had, of course, the computer has to do an update right before the show. You know how it works. You know how computers work. So if you just give me a second here, I'm just asking for about 30 more seconds of your time and we will get this going. I'm telling you, this is going to be a great, great interview that you do not want to miss. I promise you. And the people will join us. I have to go on here to actually see the comments because I don't know how to work all this stuff since we went to this new streaming. Let's see. Open the app here. I'm getting a little old, Mike. Getting a little old. Thank you everyone for joining us. No Games, thank you for sticking with us. Deborah Luna, thank you. Riri, Simple Sammy, Trevor, hey. Yes, you know what, Trevor? That's a good idea that you just told me about now. We should have made this exclusive. Next time. I promise you next time. So, if you guys are just joining us, what you seen was Chairman of the Genesee Board of Commissioners, Delrico Lloyd, as he sat and he made a statement to the Mott Community Board of Trustees, which Michael Freeman, was a part of and decided not to seek re-election.
Right.
Let's talk about that just for a second. Yeah. Like, why not?
Yeah. Well, I completed 2 terms. Each of those terms are 6 years. And because of the change in the election law, one of my terms was 7.5 years. Wow. I served for 13.5 years on the board, and I loved it. It was, Mott's one of the most important institutions in our community. They do wonderful things. They've got the best faculty, staff. I mean, the college is great, and it's been in wonderful hands. Dick Shank, who was the previous president, I came in when he was there. Dr. Beverly, phenomenal. We've had great leadership, board members who knew what their role was. We were there for the college.
Thank you, Petty Fish. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think they send us money now up there on the screen, so I'm like, I have to thank everybody.
No problem. No, so we've it's been great. Politics never was discussed, right? We were there for the students. We were there for workforce development. We were all there for the college. We never talked about that.
The first board we're hearing about that was actually putting their jobs first.
Yep. And we worked well with the administration. We got stuff done. We had one member, and it was someone who served before I was on the board. He did 1 term. It was Andy Everman.
Yeah.
He was on the board. He lost in his bid for election.
Aww.
And then, 7.5 years go by when I'm on the board, and then he comes back and he gets back on the board. Now, I was board chair for 4 of those years. And I was able to kind of keep the nonsense down. Like, we were still doing the function and work of the board.
Right.
Well, then 2 years ago, we get this new slate of people who joined the board who had no academic experience. Hardly, a few of them had never even attended, even community college.
Right.
And then they joined the board.
Are there qualifications, though, to get?
No, there aren't. Like, literally anyone can be elected to it. But typically when people run for the board, it's because they've got experience or something to bring to the table. What I found was the new people who came to the board were a little confused about what their role was. Sue Couch thought she was actually going to be doing day-to-day management. Said, "Oh, I want to work with the marketing department because I have experience." And I'm like, "No, that's not your role."
Right.
And so I doubt any of them read the policies for the board. Like how far can you go? What should you do? And so this is like a big learning curve, in which they didn't really seem interested in learning. And so they made Andy the board chair, and you were at that meeting.
Yes, I was.
This is like where the story really starts.
Yes.
Where like
Yes.
the previous attorney, which he went down to Florida. He was not chosen to continue. Went to Florida, but when Andy was chair, he shows up.
And he showed
And,
out.
and,
Right.
and exactly. He showed. I'm like, "What are you doing here?" "Oh, I was summoned."
Mhm.
Well, then
he was so cocky.
He was. And then all of a sudden, when the vote went south for him, where he came up to you and said, and I quote, "I had the votes."
He did. Live.
You had it on camera.
Yes, he did.
And then, which means that they violated Open Meetings Act.
Right.
If they decide any decisions you make outside, you violate the act. And and so the problem is, when you got an Open Meetings Act violation, it starts with investigation by the state police. So for some reason, they have to come in and investigate.
Did they do that?
No, they didn't come in.
I forgot it's in Flint.
And then that's when the prosecutor, the case is taken to them. But until that happens, the prosecutor can't really do a whole lot about it.
Right.
So, so they've learned over time that they just violated Open Meetings Act over and over again. Round robin, they were doing all, and then they didn't care because no one was ever there to punish them or to stop them. Right. We didn't have a board chair that had the ethical, approach to the job, where, like you say, "No, you can't do this." He encouraged it.
Right.
He was part of it. So essentially, I spent the past 2 years, it was combative, right? Getting people to do the right and ethical thing. Watching, the first thing they do is, they get rid of our board attorney, who was
first
great.
Thing on the list. Yep.
That was the first thing on the list. Get rid of, Amber, who was phenomenal. She knew her job. She had lots of experience working with higher ed. They got rid of her. And then they put in someone who had a relationship with Andy, who I won't disparage at this point, because at first I was suspect of him because of his relationship with Andy Everman, but he turned out to have incredible ethical fiber.
Okay.
So Bill Brickley, I apologize to him because he did the right thing at the right time. So, but they brought him on, and he tried to bring Andy to heel and get him to get with the No, it was all his agenda. He ran it like Machiavelli. He ran it like, no rules. I do what I want. And the thing is that he was embracing the agenda of these new politically charged members. So they steamrolled through. So they worked as a team and a unit, making bad decisions.
And the way he talked to the public.
Yeah.
I remember Miss Liz Taylor came up for public comment. The way he treated her.
Nasty. He called it the peanut gallery.
That's why he called us the peanut
gallery is a very racially charged term, right? Because that's where the poor folk used to sit in the theater, or people who were marginalized had to sit in a special section. So you called the peanut gallery. Maybe he knew, maybe he didn't, but regardless, as an elected official, you don't treat people like that.
Right.
And people who come for public comment, which if he didn't like what they said, he wanted to shut them down.
Right.
So so then they get rid of the attorney. Next on their list, I think, was to create an environment which was very hostile for the administration, and so I won't go into the particulars because it's not my story to tell, but I will say that I did witness repeated instances of Andy Everman being verbally abusive and disrespectful with Dr. Beverly.
And Dr. Beverly Walker Graffia was the former president of Mott Community College.
Yeah.
Her and I both served on the Bishop Airport Board together. When I went to the meetings, and I don't, like you said, you don't want to get into it, but I can talk about it.
Yeah.
I talked with some of the people that worked at the college, and they said the morale was so low. The way the people are getting treated.
Yeah.
The way they didn't feel like the board cared.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like this one. They did the board as a whole.
Right.
Like they're not listening to our concerns.
No.
And it's affecting how we teach, our students. And it was like a trickle down effect.
And they really didn't care. I mean, for them, it was the agenda, in which now, in retrospect, you look at every single decision point that was made has led into this. It was like first time I thought that the agenda was attacking diversity, equity, and inclusion was when Dr. Beverly was reporting out about gender neutral bathrooms. Talking about there are some students who don't feel comfortable going into general bathrooms.
Right, I remember that conversation.
And then Sue Couch literally said that if we do this, it will increase the number of the amount of sexual violence against women on campus.
And that was like, what? Right, I was sitting there. I'm like, what?
That was my jaw.
We're just asking for some different bathrooms, right?
And then finally, Dr. Beverly pointed out, these are single user bathrooms,
right?
Which shut Sue down, But it's like, I was like, there you go. And then there was another incident where, like the LGBTQ Alliance, they do something called the Lavender Graduation, which is for their student group. It's like where they just celebrate the members of their student group that they're graduating. So it was just like a reception party. Dana, Sue Couch's daughter, and Sue came up to me.
Which we're going to talk about in a second.
Came up to me and I can't believe that those people want to have their own graduation. They should have to graduate at the main ceremony like everybody else. And I explained to her, I said, I spoke at the Lavender graduation, which is a party. They all are going through the main, but I'm like the main graduation, but this is just like any other affinity group on campus. They have the right to do that, and they're celebrating their accomplishments.
Right.
And so they, for them, it's like, it's the typical, just like we see now in today's politics with talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. That to me is become like this dog whistle for the right.
Right.
And like, how do we take away the civil rights of individuals?
Right.
And that's what I think is happening on campus. I mean, they're looking at right now anti-protest policies.
Really?
That they changed the name of the the protest. I can, when you talked to people before under the old board and talking about people feeling disrespected, not heard, nervous about their jobs, it's exponentially worse right now.
Wow.
People are fleeing, like literally. I know a number of people who have already left the college because of the changes that are happening right now. These are good, skilled, quality people.
Can you just touch on a little bit of some of the changes that you just heard of, like what's going on?
Well, I mean, let's go back to the big case or issue was when they tried to force us to hire Shonda Richardson Snell as the new president. That we have the vote. Sue Couch was pushing that vote. It goes through. The lawyer, for the college, Bill Brickley, basically came back and said, I counseled them. I said, don't do this because he was made aware of a financial transaction between Sue Couch's daughter and Shonda Richardson Snell. So she used her as a real estate agent, paid her or her company commission. And so that appears to be buying a vote.
Mhm.
Now, Sue claims that she knew nothing about it. Sue and Dana are thick as they are together all the time. So I doubt that very highly. But it doesn't matter, because whether or not she knew or didn't know, the perception is out there.
Right.
So maybe she knew. Definitely a conflict.
And those of you that are joining in late, this is Mike Freeman, former Mott Community College Board of Trustee.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the secrets of Mott.
So basically, what the lawyer said is, look, if she votes on this, you have to disclose the conflict. You have to say, hey, by the way, this happened with my daughter, but I didn't know about it, and I'm not going to discuss it, and I'm not going to vote on it.
That's what ethical thing to do.
That's what should have happened. She didn't. Mm-hmm. So what Bill Brickley said is that basically, because of the non-disclosure of that fact, it invalidates the vote. So right now, she technically is still interim president, but they're kind of quietly trying to maneuver and slither their way around it. And hopefully everybody forgets that they did something illegal, but they did. And literally, we had that meeting. If you go back, YouTube, watch the Mott College meetings. I have a friend who calls it The Board, and it's his reality series. He makes popcorn and he watches these because of the drama and everything that happens. And so
you guys are on your way to city council, believe it or not. Those guys, not you anymore.
It's very sad. Mm-hmm. And it was complete insanity. I had to spend the last month just decompressing. I call it my post-traumatic stress disorder from that board.
You would get so angry because you were so passionate about what you were doing.
What's right.
Yeah.
For me, it's when you're an elected official, you're at the end of the day, you're doing what's right for the institution that you serve and the people that you put into office.
Right.
And nothing makes me more furious than people who abuse that power, or they have an agenda. These individuals on the board, Jeff Swanson, Wendy Walcott, Sue Couch, and now Candace Miller, all know each other. They're all, and Shonda knows them all as well. This is a small group of people from Davison, Michigan, who basically are trying to Shanghai the college.
And that bothers me, Mike. That bothers me.
It should bother everybody in this community that depends upon that college.
It's Mott Community College, located in the heart of the city of Flint.
Yeah. Yep.
And you have, like you said, we got some people from Davison, Michigan, that's just trying to make the college great again.
Yep.
Read between the lines.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, at least now we actually have an African American serving on there. Before, it was all white, except for Art Reyes, who is Latino male. Mm-hmm. Other than that, it was all white people.
Now we have Kenyatta Dotson.
So, but that's not enough diversity.
No.
One person.
Not enough.
So it's not representative of the county even. Mm-hmm. So that was another reason too, is that I felt I had to step down because I needed to make a place for somebody else. Unfortunately, we got Jeff Swanson, who, let's face it, he got voted in because the Swanson last name.
Yeah.
Candace Miller got voted on because people thought they were voting for Candace Miller. Right. This is Candace Miller is actually a woman who was on the Davison School Board. So none of these people have significant higher ed experience. And now it's being run by somebody who has no higher ed experience. She seemed to think that because she, worked in finance at, one of the auto companies, that, she has all this financial acumen. The money part of running the college is only a part of it. Right. The bigger part of it is, how do you meet accreditation standards?
And
how do you get people trained for new jobs, certification? How do you expand? How do you do, these are things that are beyond her that she literally thinks, like she told somebody when she finally agreed that a national search should happen so she's not under a cloud of suspicion of like nepotism and whatever. No, someone walked up to her and they said, well, it's good that you actually now agree with doing a national search. Oh no, Jesus talked to me and Jesus told me that I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm like, well, that's pretty convenient when you're told something that you really want. I'm like, can anyone else give evidence of that conversation? Because but no.
Jesus.
But that's the thing in her mind, she's had now not even like Flint-based churches, but it's churches from outside of Genesee County, from Brighton, coming here and telling us, that like accusing her of being attacked because of her religion.
No, slow down, because people may not know what we're talking about. So it was this pastor that came in,
yep,
and had her standing there, like
yep.
she was some Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And he went on to say these beautiful things about her.
Yeah.
What was that about?
So I think he was recruited as like a PR stunt. And like because he put out on their website, like their church is involved in very political issues. And like it's like a church, but it's not, but actually it's a political platform that they're trying to advocate for specific people that align with their church's values to go into these elected, positions. Mm-hmm. Well, he came out and did this whole thing, post that was really damning. Like no one had ever brought up her religion or anything. It was more about her political track record, which was extremely, make America great again. Right. She donated to every single, Republican, Trump
yes,
fundraiser.
Deborah Luna. That's what Deborah just said. You know how we talk. We just interrupt each other. It's I don't mean no disrespect.
But I'm Italian, so that's what we do. Right. So it's fine.
She was talking about, doesn't she have an affiliation with the controversial church? So yeah, yes. that's what we're talking about now.
So this guy then wrote these, and he went so far. I think she told him to back. She was starting to get backlash from it. It wasn't, and she made it sound like she had nothing to do with that. Mm-hmm. But she lies. She makes excuses for her, like she throws other people under the bus. She didn't know, it's like she told me to my face, when the attorney said that she knew about the conflict. And I didn't know. And then I said, I'm going to ask you again. Did you know there was a conflict, an issue with the conflict, because of your purchasing the property, that property through her daughter? No, I didn't. So I said, I'm going to ask you a final time.
Okay.
When I ask somebody 3 times,
you already know
I know the answer.
Right.
And I said, so you're telling me that you did not have a conversation with Bill Brickley and you wanted to get a copy of that policy that sent to you, and I'm like, it was a text message. I'm like, oh, so it's not a conversation, it was a text message.
Same thing, right?
Same thing.
So the school board president used the board member's daughter.
One of the board member who was pushing to have Shonda made into the permanent president, her daughter is a real estate agent
who helped her get a house.
Shonda bought a very expensive home in the Out County. Mm-hmm. Through
not in Flint?
No, not in Flint. Oh, okay. Even though we have a president's residence that has been completely renovated.
Really?
Oh yeah, that has been brought up to, like, when Dr. Beverly was there. All these issues, like, over time, we refurbished.
Dr. Beverly stayed at the home?
That was the home. That's dedicated. That's part of the package you offer to the president, that they can be right on campus.
Wow.
And obviously, if Shonda wants to be the permanent, she has no intention of living in the city of Flint. So
that's why I preach on our morning show about the importance of these county boards.
Yeah.
It's not just city council.
Right.
We have a lot of county boards that need minority representation. Yes. A lot.
We do. We should represent, even for our own students. Our students should see people who look like them
Mm-hmm.
making decisions on behalf of the college. And that's not been prioritized, but it's a countywide election. I find that people don't know who they're voting for, so they just vote for a name,
Right.
like what's familiar to them, or but it's arbitrary because people don't do the research and people don't pay attention to school boards or trustees for Mott College or even the universities. They just vote. I mean, at least with the universities, you see Democrat or Republican, and so people will then, at least they use that as their measure of who to vote for. You have no idea. There were 14 people, I think, that were running for Mott College.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
It was a lot of people on there.
And there was a lot of good people on there
Percy
as well.
Whitmore. I liked
Percy
him.
Whitmore.
I really liked him.
Percy was fantastic, and Figueroa,
I loved
phenomenal.
him.
She served 6 years on the board, strong human resource background, and served as the chair.
And those are the people that we need, but we keep ending up with circus clowns. I said it, he didn't. But yeah, that's what we end up with.
Yep.
People that really don't know about the inner city. They have no connection, they don't even know how to communicate with half of the students that attend this college.
Yeah. Like with diversity, equity, and inclusion, the way that the college looks at it is statistically, why are Black and brown students graduating at a lower rate than white students?
Let's talk about that.
So you have policies around diversity, equity, and inclusion to make sure you're leveling the playing field. You're looking at what are the hindrances, what is keeping people from completion, like what kind of support systems. That's how you look at it. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, you can report out that our students all graduate at the same rate, mm-hmm. right? And that's why it is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that in your hiring practices, mm-hmm. that you are giving a fair shake to everybody. I mean, this is not just a Black and brown conversation. This is women. Right. Women are underrepresented. Women are underpaid in the workplace,
women
and so that's
minority,
and that's that's why colleges do that, but they look at unfair advantage, paying attention to one group and then ignoring another. And I'm like, so they've drank the Kool-Aid that's being ladled out there by the Trump administration and everybody else. That's one of the
questions too. They're wondering what's going to happen with representation post DEI. And
between that, dismantling DEI, and the attack on Department of Education, you're going to see a lot more.
Ahead of me.
You're going to see a lot more Trump U's out there, like that get closed down because they're a sham. So Department of Education or accrediting agencies make sure that you're teaching people what they need to know to get ahead, to get a job, to move on to a 4-year institution. And then if there is no standard there, no controls, it's going to be chaos, and people will start questioning the value of what you're getting through your higher ed experience.
Yeah, but do you think the college will go down? I mean, just your opinion. Do you
on its current path? Yes, I personally believe that the college is headed. I felt like we're on the Titanic, and I'm blowing the whistle to say, stop this. We need to right the ship. Mm-hmm. And it's chaos. It is. There are people with agendas behind the scenes that are controlling. Because Jeff Swanson was infamous for this. He would actually, the logic was laid out. He would vote the right way, and then he got yelled at by somebody, and then would come back and change his mind.
Doesn't this sound familiar, guys?
This is our new board. This is the new chair. And
Swanson is the chair now.
Swanson is now the chair, and someone who admits that he finds, he always found motions confusing. It's like, as chair, you run the meeting. You have to do Robert's rules, and there again, they locked out Art Reyes from having a position. They had no interest. They, when I was there, and when Andy was vindictive. And
Yes.
when he became board chair, he tried to strip me of everything.
He did.
I had served as board chair, as board, treasurer, and I was the longest serving person on that board.
He looked like he hated when you had something to say.
He absolutely did.
It was like he did. Like he ain't no respect, like Trustee Freeman, Mike.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what?
Well, no respect for women either, because I'll admit, like with Wendy Wolcott, he never would learn her last name.
No, he just called her
Trustee Wendy or just Wendy. But women, he would call. Many would actually call by their last name, but
And what was the older lady that was? Her and Andy seemed to be like.
Oh, that's Sue Couch.
Okay, that's Sue. Okay, yeah. I never did know her.
Yeah.
Name.
Her name's Janet. Sue. She's got a lot of names, but
let's talk about Sue for a second.
Yeah.
And Sue's daughter.
Yeah.
And I want you guys to see these text messages. These are the people that are representing Mott Community College. Now, this is Sue, who is a trustee of Mott Community College. This is her daughter. And you will see Sue comment on this Facebook post. Yeah, we can start with is that the first one I sent you? So Dana.
Dana's the daughter of Sue
Dana
Couch.
is the daughter of Sue Couch, who is the trustee. I want you to realize the importance of why we need representation on these out county boards, especially my community college. This is our city college, our community college. She said, WTH, what the hell? Who is this idiot manager in the background clapping? You can tell she won't be the one cleaning up that horrible mess or paying for all food he is destroying. Jim Brown, I don't know who that is. Niggers in action. Rod Lester, fucking nigger. Mark, like to see you follow to jail. Now that's a deplorable idiot. Mary, send him to the front lines as a shield for the soldiers. Let's go to the next one. This is where it warms up.
Is it this one?
Yes. This is still Dana. This is Sue Couch's daughter. He has to appear like he is helping or working, but deep down has his real agenda. Sort of like your car needs an engine and the mechanic hates you and scroll down some. And is over checking the air in the tires, claiming he is working and helping you. That's Obama. Let's keep going down. The Democrats learn now that if somebody's anything but a white male, they can get away with anything, and they're going to ride it out until some of you grow some balls and stop being afraid to call in. It goes on, but we didn't clip that. Let's go down some more. Now, this is one of the current members on the board, Sue Couch. I am getting sick of all of this gay pride, and am pleased to say I am straight and proud of being straight. Let's go through all the text messages, and then we're going to get Mike some time to respond, because this is really bold. They don't care. It's their way out. They don't like the word. Agreed. Sue Couch again. Yeah, so they're talking about using the hard ER, the nigger word. Sorry, I know I'm making you feel uncomfortable. Sue says, yeah, and how about them stop shouting, kill white people and kill cops? Much more offensive than the N-word. I am sick of them using their race as an excuse for killing, robbing, and burning. So they're talking about some music that the granddaughter was playing. I think that's the post that after
4-year-old girl who supposedly was knew all the words to a
rap song. Yeah. So that should be on the next slide.
Yeah, that's
so. This is the start of it. This is Dana's post. I don't want to hear another black person that is not willing to stand up against other blacks who listen or promote to this music say anything about racism. My 4-year-old niece was sitting in her daddy's car today listening to the radio. I went to the truck to say hi to her, and she was singing away. She knew all of the words to the song she was listening to. It was a black artist singing. All of a sudden, she began singing the exact line of the song, saying, nigger. Wonder why that word continues to live on? I'll tell you why. Because it's promoted by black people. And kids today are repeating what they hear. Don't talk to me about the nigger word until those who are offended put a stop to it by their own. I will not stop. I mean, people, they're just agreeing. And that's it. We can go back. And so Dana is the real estate agent, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's a real estate agent.
Who used to come to like every meeting until this stuff blew up with the conflict of interest, and like now, I doubt she's going to be at too many meetings just because like she's been outed, and it's like between her and her mother. I mean, these are not good people.
And Woodrow, this is my Wyntis Hall show voice. I have a bump voice and I have an interview voice. So when this all came about,
yeah,
and you were still on the board at the time.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
What happened?
I was just exiting at that point, like the new board's taken in. Well, then you actually had people show up. Like all of a sudden, everyone starts seeing these texts or these messages that were on Facebook, and they're getting around. And then, so let's just say in the audience, there was a gentleman who's got up to the microphone and introduced himself as a minister, and I'm like, oh man, here we go.
Right.
And I thought was more about how mean we are to Shonda. No, this guy actually was calling out them for the unchristian things that they were saying. This is a thing too. It's like, this all this what they're doing is under the guise of they're such deeply religious and spiritual people. Nothing that I have actually encountered with these individuals has anything to do with Christ and his teaching. These are not, attacking DEI is not a Christian thing to do.
Are they aligning with like this Trump plan?
Well, their voting record says as such, but it's the playbook. And they were like attacking DEI before Trump became president, but it's like, I think that's just nationally, that's what's happening. It's eroding people's civil rights. I mean, and why are we attacking Mott? I think they believe that the place where we give education, that's where everybody is sent to be woke. Mm-hmm. And I hate that word because the way, especially the lamest people in the world use that.
Stay woke.
Yeah, whatever. Ted Cruz talking about who's woke, and then he's like,
don't start.
But I think that it's just like they think we're indoctrinating people. Mm-hmm. You know what? They're regardless, and what I've people 18 years old and up, you're not going to tell them what to do and who to be. They make their own decisions. Mm-hmm. And so essentially they think that. But the problem is that when people get education, they start making better decisions. They become better people because they're exposed to different people, different thoughts, different ideas. But they think it's this intentional instruction that, but education in this political climate for Trump and his followers, in my opinion, mm-hmm. Education's a dangerous thing because you actually see through the lies. Yeah. So that's why I think education is under attack right now.
Before we move on with that, did Sue ever come back and apologize for any of this?
She hasn't been back yet. She didn't come to that meeting where Commissioner Lloyd, when he spoke, she wasn't there, and she would have gotten an earful. So, she's been bowing out, and I don't know what's going to happen. It's like towards the end, it really was John Daly, Art Reyes, and myself who all understood our role and why we were there. And John Daly and I didn't always agree.
Right. And I'm like, I'm surprised at John,
But
yeah.
At the end of the day, he is a civil servant. He understands about you do things by the book. You follow policies. You may lose in the vote, but as long as you reach the conclusion correctly, he's fine. But cheating the system,
Right.
he's not about that. And he feels like this has been one big cheat, and it has been a big cheat.
It was such a rush to get this president in before. I think Andy knew he was going to lose. So I got to hurry up. We got to hurry up and get this president. We don't need a national search. We don't need anybody to come and help us. And we got to hurry up.
And no one's ever going to really admit their motivation, like why they're doing, why her, and why are they pushing this through. But I can make some guesses. But at the end of the day, it's like they're doing something illegal,
right?
And what the issue here is that they receive tax dollars. That's why you have to have open meetings. That's why you have elected officials. That's why you follow procurement. This Shonda Richardson Schnell has been violating the procurement procedures, which means that you have to get competitive bids. You actually have to go out and have a fair and open process when you're looking for a vendor or someone who fulfills a contract. I don't know anything about, like, when they got the new attorney, they did not follow a procurement process for that. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get an interim attorney right now because Bill Brickley quit because it was so unethical. He was not tying himself to that wagon. Oh, wow. He basically looked and said, "You guys are doing something I cannot support. You're not listening to me. Therefore, I'm withdrawing and I will no longer serve you." So now they're trying to get this emergency attorney.
So they had an attorney that stood up to him.
$750 an hour.
What? $750.
And they're like, "Well, we have to do it because we just don't have any legal." Oh, but she's giving us a discounted rate.
So whose friend is this?
Andy brought her up.
Okay.
He searched her out.
Okay.
Now you got this issue with the Higher Learning Commission.
And that was next. Like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Losing the accreditation or just having it in limbo is big.
Here's the thing. They kept kind of quiet despite everything that's been going on. But the one thing, when the board and this whole issue came up with the attorney quitting and the chaos around this selection of, Shonda Richardson Schnell, they finally came out and said, "Wait a minute," and they cited all these different things where, like, you're not following policy, and procedure, and we need you to account for that. Well, they secretly wrote up this response that they introduced to each of the board members individually. They didn't even report back to the entire board on, like, this is how we're responding. And the whole thing basically is throwing Andy Everman under the bus, which they should. But the problem is that you have 3 people that voted with him every single time. Right. They Jeff Swanson knew about the conflict of interest. Mm-hmm. He was told. And because Andy said, "Well, it's not in writing, it's not a real conflict," he went with it. That guy is as guilty as Andy and Sue. The 3 of them together all were trying to pull one over on the public. And that's the thing, that, like, my blood pressure, and that's like, I was told if I ran again, there would be a divorce in my household because I was coming home from work every day flustered. You would angry.
Leave out of there flustered and angry.
Always. It was the only reason I stayed and I did what I did because when I had faculty and staff members come up to me thanking me for giving them a voice. I have, the African American professor came up to me and she said, "Thank you, because I don't feel like there's a single person out there that cares about the Black folk on this campus." I had a job, right? I had to protect those people who were being marginalized, who were put into a corner. And that's my only regret leaving today. Today I feel guilty because people are still traumatized on that campus. They are unhappy. They are afraid. They feel like they're going to, it feels like retribution on this campus right now.
I heard a little rumor. I'm just going to ask you. You don't
Yeah.
have to respond, but have you heard anything about them removing Black Lives Matter and some of the gay pride?
I was told that Black Lives Matters and the pride flags were taken down from the student space, which is like their space, because they were divisive.
Divisive?
Yes. So, and then Shonda came up with some excuse that the students really wanted it down so they could have a uniform look in the space.
But they put it up. This is the students' lounge,
yeah.
if you want to call it that. Shonda's the president. We're just using her first name.
Yeah.
And
she's not a doctor. She ain't Dr. Beverly or Dr. Shank.
No.
She's just Shonda.
Just somebody they found.
Somebody they found who has an agenda
that aligns with theirs. Why is all Flint politics?
This is a hostile takeover.
This sounds the same.
Yeah. Well, now it's the out county controlling a majority. Like,
it makes no sense to me.
No.
You got like, I'm sure you probably know the numbers. Like, what's the percentage of minorities versus whites at the college?
So, I would think it's fairly reflective of like the city of Flint. Okay. I would say, likely you're going to have a higher white population at the college with the out county. But that's the thing too, with diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's about, we need to recruit. We need to get over that disparity between why don't we have more Black and brown students at the college? Why don't we provide more services to make sure that they have everything that gives them a fair advantage in the academic setting? There again, this is the anti-DEI people then saying, we're giving too much to the students, and the Black and brown students, but nothing for the white students, who started with many of, not all of them, but many of whom started with all the advantages that they needed. So I'm outraged. This is genuine outrage. This isn't like just political correctness, saying what people want to hear. It's what I at my core believe, right? And I do it because 13 and a half years, I talk to students, I talk to faculty, where are they at? And that was my job as a board member. And that's unfortunately not the job that really any of them are doing now.
Right.
I believe that John Daly and Art Reyes have the best interests of the college at heart, and Kenyatta as well. I endorsed her and I supported her, as well when she was running. I'm thrilled that she's on. I want her to have the confidence and conviction that she is better than any of those people on that board, and she better not sit back. And she, like, the maybe I was rough around the edges and intolerant, but I deserve that space because I had served there for so long.
Right, absolutely.
And then, but like now, she should be proud and stand up and represent the community that should be represented.
Absolutely. And we expect that of her.
Yep.
And I think she will.
And I think she will. I really do. And Percy, we got to get Percy back because he is a rising star. He wants to be involved in higher ed. And he's a younger voice. He's closer to that experience. He would have been a phenomenal person on our board, as well as Ann.
Before I get to some of these questions, which are very good, by the way, thank you guys. Keep typing them in. Where's the college standing now with their accreditation?
They were supposed to respond by like mid-January. I think they asked for an extension. I don't believe if they have received a response from the Higher Learning Commission, I am not aware of it.
Okay. When are the Mott Community Board meetings?
So the Mott, they're typically, I think it's like the last Monday of the month.
Okay.
But if you just go to Mott's website, they not only have like the meeting dates, they have the agendas, and all of the meetings are on YouTube.
Okay.
So like literally you can go to YouTube and you look up Mott College, you can actually go back a long time and you can watch these meetings. Oh,
He said, "Oh, like which
the
one?"
first meeting when Andy was made president or chair of the board, and he didn't know that the mics were still going, and what one of the he's staff at the college, Andy walked up to him and said, "Well, I know you might not like me, but if you got something to say to me, you better not be a pussy."
I remember that.
The outrage.
I remember that.
From that, and he never apologized.
And you know what? They swept that under the rug so fast.
Oh yeah, because I was getting my phone's blowing up because all these people are watching the YouTube video and they're just like, "Did Andy just use the P word?"
Yep, he sure did.
And I said at the end, I said, "It's come to my attention that a very inappropriate word was used. We are going to investigate, and we will not. I'll just let you know, we will not tolerate this." But his people tolerated it.
And they just
he should have been from that point. It's like if you're verbally abusive to staff members, which Andy had a track record of people who he decided to go after and use his power and privilege, he would go after them. And he was nasty like that.
He was. I mean, he sat there. I was in the audience one day when he said, "Okay, the peanut gallery, you guys can quiet down now. Yeah. You can be quiet now." Like he did not care how he talked to them.
Didn't care.
He didn't care.
Yeah. He tried to act all nice and everything, but deep down he's a narcissist and a sociopath.
He was not a nice guy.
Not a nice man.
The next one, and Deborah Luna, I forgot all about this. You know what? Okay. What's your opinion about how they snubbed Mr. Ridgway White's offer?
It was embarrassing.
Now, Ridgway White, his grandfather, great-grandfather,
gave the land to build the college.
Ridgway White is my community college. My foundation.
They put like $70 million into the college, paying for upgrades, programs.
Nice new science building. Technology building.
Honestly, Ridgway didn't want any control, other than he said, "Do it like you did before. Make it fair. Look nationally. Find the best."
You still were on the board at that time.
Bring the best talent to Flint. So he came in and like Andy made this excuse that it was cost prohibitive. We couldn't afford to do the search, which was a lie.
Didn't they make him wait?
And they made him wait. I asked, I'm like, "Can we please let him speak? He's coming." And he waited.
And he had a plan to catch or something, right?
Yeah, and he was polite. He was appropriate. And then he made this offer. He's like, "If this cost issue, I'll pay for this. The Mott Foundation will do this. Just so, and then, this is like a great thing for the college." And snubbed.
Just snubbed him.
Yeah. Basically, you got these individuals who have no higher ed experience deciding that this person is actually skilled and qualified to run a college, but they refuse to accept the money to actually run a process like we did before. What we did, I was co-chair with Lenore Crowdy. Lenore and I worked together. We convened a group of community people, community leaders, philanthropy, churches.
We got everybody.
Community college, yes. We got everybody at the table. And we went through all the initial candidates. We had a search firm that gave us this pool of people. We went through like 20, 25.
What college doesn't use a national search firm?
Almost every single one does that.
Right.
Then when the pool was like reduced down to the four top candidates, those 4 candidates were directly interviewed by the entire board of trustees.
Okay.
And then that's how they made the decision. That's when they hired Dr. Beverly. And I knew we made the right decision because, I asked Dr. Shank he didn't add to it. He just let us do our own thing. But I looked at him and I said, did we do right? And he said, absolutely. You chose the person I would have chose. So the process worked.
How did the qualifications get lowered?
To a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, it's like some of the people that were teaching had higher degrees than
Everybody
the
there has a higher degree than the president.
What the hell? What happened?
I would be embarrassed if I were her. Like literally, like people who their entire life has been working towards, administration, higher education.
Right.
And then just because you went to college doesn't mean you're qualified to run a college.
Absolutely.
I
went to college and I don't think I could.
I got a brain, but I guess that qualifies me as being a brain doctor.
Just don't do any surgery, please. And which leads to this good question.
Right.
If people don't want her as president, shouldn't she just bow out gracefully?
She won't. Because, like I said, she
what
believes
if you got the community to come? Would she even pay them any attention?
No, she wants it so bad, and she thinks she feels emboldened. If she's part of that MAGA movement to take over and conquer. So only when you get back to the original point that Bill Brickley made, and I don't care about, like, they brought the $700 whatever dollar an hour attorney came in and said her entire defense was, well, Sue didn't know about it. That doesn't matter at all, because the rule is real or perceived conflict.
Right.
And this is law that goes back to 1860s in Michigan. This is Supreme Court, that they violated the law. And like everybody from public comment needs to go in there and say, her presence here is a violation of the law. It was a conflict of interest that I believe was real, but at minimum, it's absolutely perceived. Because it's on record. I mean, she got money. The daughter got money from Shonda to sell her this house.
Now, I know when I was at my former job, we had to fill out a conflict of interest report every year.
Yep.
I'm sure the board had to too.
We do as well.
Did she disclose any of that?
None of it.
None of it.
No, nothing about her daughter and her relationship. And her daughter is like a vulture. She was
seen that.
Every single meeting. The daughter was always there. She would drive her mother there, leave. She even came to, they would give us food beforehand because it's not a paid position. So they fed us before the meeting. Well, her entire family would come in and they would eat the food that we were eating. And I basically said, well, I guess if anyone can come in, I went in and started looking at admin staff. I'm like, get in there, free food. Go get some food.
Right.
But they're running this, and now they've got this Diane Cotter as the support secretary. Mm-hmm. So even though we already have a assistant secretary, which was Jordan, then they hire this woman, and then she now is she's the enforcer. Mm-hmm. She wants to be the Roberts rules, policy advice. She's taking on this role. We had nothing to do with her hiring. It was like Wendy was given the authority to hire this person. We don't even know how much she's being paid. They are paying the money that is going out of this to pay for all these little extra people, new people, $700 an hour attorney.
What about the financial reports, like the budget? You guys,
we don't see that granular stuff. You see it in the category of professional expenses. You see, payroll,
but no line item budget at all.
It was never brought before us. No one knows, other than maybe Wendy does, and some of the people at the college. But so they just hire people. They're hiring whoever they want. And before, it was like you had to get an open process. You put out the request for proposals. You take them in, you evaluate them, you figure out who is the best value for the money. Right. They do that on some things, but when it comes to running the college, legal, public relations, they just do whatever they want. They don't follow the rules.
Sherry Allen, this couldn't be more aligned with what we're talking about. Vote for this president. We don't have to vote anymore. That would make what we want done easier to accomplish. Doesn't that sound familiar? So, another one, anti-black is to do my college. We hope not, but that's why it's so important that we just have to. We just got to spread ourselves around.
Yeah.
Like we got to have like designated people to go to each of these meetings because it's
Yeah.
so important.
Let me tell
It's
you,
so
when the black
important.
community shows up, though, they're scared.
Mhm.
I can see it on their faces.
Mhm.
You know, so because when they are held accountable, that's the only way things are going to change.
Right.
You know, when Commissioner Lloyd went up, and he was classy.
Oh,
He probably knew more than he was saying,
absolutely.
but he kept it appropriate. He advised people this is not about politics. It's not about Democrat. It's not about Republican. And I value what he said. He was eloquent where I'm just angry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wish I had the tolerance to have that level of eloquence. But,
Right.
you know, I've been at it for too long,
Right.
and
I was saying like you were.
I've seen too much, and I care too much about the college and my community, and that's what is being undone. I look at 13 and a half years and everything being undone. But I'm assuming probably President Biden and Kamala Harris probably look at the same thing. After all the good that they did being undone. Barack Obama probably thinks all that good I did was undone.
Right.
So maybe that's just the nature of public service. But it's still very sad.
Before I get to the next question, I want to hear your opinion on this. And I know we touched on it, but jumped all around the place. Trump's latest thing yesterday, dismantling the Department of Education.
Yeah.
How do you think this is going to affect my community college?
I think it's going to affect the national implication. They don't even understand what it does, how money flows down through the states. But if they start attacking accreditation, I can see why. Like he had Trump U that he was sued over and over because a place that didn't have accreditation, that didn't have any standards,
just hired anybody,
and just basically stole money from people, assuming that if they have my name on a diploma, they'll get a job anywhere. Right. And that's not the case. They didn't like your steaks or your casinos either.
Right.
Maybe his name doesn't sell everything other than a bunch of horse shit. Sorry.
I just can't see. I just don't see Mott letting this tank. I don't see Mott just letting Mott Community College. Yeah. I'm talking about Mr. Ridgway.
Right.
Why? I don't see him letting this just tank like this.
As a philanthropist, though, you gotta draw the line. He can make the offer. He can't force the offer. But
damn it, this is his.
I know. And it's like I'm sure he's not. Personally, I'm sure he's not happy with the way things are going.
But he can't.
But he's going to be a professional about it.
Right.
He can extend the offer, but he can't force the offer. But, I guess I'm sure he's more professional than me, but I would look at the situation like, if you don't need my help, don't ask for my help.
Right.
And that's only going to be to the detriment of the students in the campus.
It is. Next question. Wonder who is financially responsible to allow the board to go unhinged?
I mean, technically, with a little bit of money, the board could get sued. Mm-hmm. Individually, they can get sued. Because there's no like when they do something illegal, you're not covered by the college anymore. So the conflict of interest, Sue Couch, Andy Everman, Jeff Swanson are all overtly liable. Like,
the Open Meetings Act.
Open Meetings Act. Well, I mean, but they perpetrated a conflict of interest. They tried to dupe
with the
public.
Right.
So I'm hoping that things are chaotic right now, but it's like I would advise anyone who's interested, and I've had conversations with attorneys You know, they said it's going to be, they're like, it's an easy case to win, but it's probably a longer case to win. I don't got $10,000 in my pocket to pay an attorney to do my own lawsuit.
Right.
But I think that may be the only thing that really teaches them you can't circumvent the law.
And you know what? Maybe that's why a lot of the boards, and I know we're talking specifically about Mott, they do these things because they know people just don't have the money to go after them and just spend time in court.
Right.
And they keep getting away with it over and over and over again. And nobody is held accountable for anything.
Right.
And that's sad.
It is sad.
It's really a sad situation. Let's see. The vice president was overlooked. Who was serving her spot?
Overlooked. Sue Couch was serving as vice chair.
Okay.
Like under Andy. So it was her and Andy. And the thing too is like when Andy...
Maybe she's talking about the president, like Dr. Beverly was the president. Was it a vice president of the college?
Yeah. Oh, Jason.
That's what she's talking about.
Jason is loved by the campus. Talented, intelligent, great at his job. He gave an interview that was worthy of a college president when he applied for the interim.
Are you kidding me?
It was passed over.
What? Is he still there serving as...
He has resigned from the college.
Man. So we're losing great people.
We're losing great people. And also Jason, also African-American male, could have been the first African-American male of the college, or president of the college. Passed over. Wasn't even given a chance. And then they expected him, though, to save her. Like all of a sudden bring her in as the great white hope. And then Jason would carry all the responsibility.
Oh, no way.
I'm sure she was pissing her pants when he gave his resignation. And he's gone on, as did Dr. Beverly. They've both gone on to phenomenal jobs with the state. And I wish them well in it. And I'm sad for the loss to our community.
Right. Trevor, Trevor said she tried to take over the Genesee County GOP. She was a very large part of why I walked away from them. Is that the Diane Cotter that you're talking about? Or who tried to take over the Genesee County GOP? Was that somebody that was on the Mott Board too? Waiting for him to respond back. This is crazy what's going on.
It is.
So...
It just takes 4 people to decide to do the right thing.
Oh, so you only need 4 people over there out of a board of how many?
7.
Okay, so board of 7, 4 is the majority.
Yep.
Okay.
But I wish they would just do the right thing for once. And sometimes, like every so often, Wendy would do the right thing. Jeff would do the right thing. It was never together. Sue never did the right thing. Mm-hmm. Sue always did exactly what Andy wanted her to do. So he was power drunk the whole time.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was. And I've seen that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Trevor was talking about Diane Cotter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And
she would show up at, people's events with her phone and film them, and she's,
So as we wind up and solutions, what do you think it will take to get this board back on track and get the college back together to where it can be, again, a pillar in the community?
Show up and demand. The people pay for the college. Your property taxes.
Yes.
They pay for the tax or the college. Your taxes pay for the college. The tuition that, your kids or family members pay. You deserve a seat at the table, and that table has not been filled yet. And so we have to have people coming up and demanding, like, go back. If you get a chance, if you watch any video, watch the video where Bill Brickley lays out the law. Because the thing is, we were going to go a closed session where we couldn't discuss any of this stuff. And for some reason, they voted they said no on the closed session, but they actually did vote to suspend confidentiality between the attorney and the board. So he told everything, and he lays out very clearly where the board was operating illegally.
The attorney,
Bill Brickley, who I have to always point out, he turned out to be a stand-up, ethical, good attorney that did the right thing.
Who's now gone to?
Who left, exactly. Mm-hmm. But watch that, because that lays out the illegality of what they were doing and what they're trying to brush under the rug right now. Mm-hmm. Sue Couch should resign.
Yes, she should. I'm looking at Deborah, Deborah Luna's comment. She said the administration and faculty pleaded to deaf ears, and it was set to witness.
Yep.
And we
that's
both
all.
know
It's
that.
faculty. It's faculty and some students who come, but there's a lot of faculty who are terrified. They don't want retribution.
And I will let Woodrow, I know you're asking for the date of the next meeting. I will find out. And Kawana, get ready for our signs, because, baby, we're going over to Mott. Yeah. And Kawana Max says, the boss comes to mind.
Betsy,
good old Betsy. When you talk about taking over the education system, we have to have a say in it as taxpayers.
Yeah. Yep.
So with the official order to defund education, how will that affect Mott? Which we've been talking about, like getting rid of the Department of Education. I mean, but in layman's terms,
funding wise, the three stools of funding are property taxes, tuition, and state support. Federal funding comes through with Pell Grants and other. I mean, if they start killing Pell, then it's gonna hurt the college, because it's gonna decrease enrollment. Mm-hmm. So there'll be less tuition collection, and then fewer students.
Low-income people
will not be able to go to college. Mm-hmm. So it basically, yes, if they start defunding Pell, we were making advances, getting where Pell, they wanted it to be for full-time students. Well, what if you want a certificate? You don't have to be a full-time student, but you should be able to use the Pell for that. So we were trying to find even ways that you could have short-term Pell. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's going to go away, because it's not like they're just simply picking out programs and ending it. They're literally decimating departments. I mean, look what's going on right now. Yeah. Why is Elon Musk, he's an immigrant.
Oh, yeah. Somebody said they need to go get him.
Deport him. Yeah. Why does he have access to our Social Security numbers and our banking information? And this guy has multi-million-dollar contracts with the federal government. And he's trying to gut OSHA, Office of Safety and Occupational, Hazard. Well, his company, 75% in the auto industry of the OSHA violations were all with his plants. So he doesn't have a conflict. I'm sure that people will make excuses for him that, he's really finding waste and fraud. Well, I hope someone doesn't have a little flash drive and who's been downloading all of the information is going to use it for their own purposes, because he doesn't have appropriate clearance to do what he's doing.
Right. That's scary.
It's scary. Everything's scary. And so the implication here for Mott is that it's already going to be a bumpy ride, right? And trying to right the ship. Mm-hmm. Shonda has no experience. She will not know how to.
She does. She came from a trucking auto plaza, right? Yeah. Oh, sorry. That was Flint CFO, former CFO that came from the trucking company. Yeah. Shonda, the president of Mott, came from auto dealership or something.
She claims she was the CFO of Delphi or something like that. I don't know. But literally, she has no experience.
We can pick them around.
When we're interviewing her for the interim position, she had to bring a binder. No one else was allowed to bring a binder. She was reading verbatim like the responsibilities of, you know, like she had notes. She cheated. She brought a binder as if it were like a board meeting that, you know, but she was using it because she didn't know how to answer any of the questions.
Oh, that was a red flag right there. But she's part of the FBI.
Good thing
Friends,
there's not
Brothers, and In-Laws program.
Good thing there's not a bull in the room with the number of red flags that were waving over there.
One more question, and this is a good one, and I forgot about it. And yes, Snow, the poor people won't be able to get educated.
Yeah.
So can you see now that we're moving into classism is going to be the new word for racism?
Yeah.
Sherry Allen, then we're gonna this is the last question. Didn't Governor Whitmore just sign a bill to allow the first 2 years at Mott to be free?
So it's the Flint promise. If you live in Flint, like I don't know if I haven't heard anything about her like doing this for anyone outside, but like you should be able to, if you went to school in Flint, you should get free tuition to not just Mott, but actually to U of M Flint as well.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, a friend of mine, she sent her kids to Powers, and but they went to school in Flint. She's like, I paid a lot for my tuition when they went to high school. She's like, but my kids get free 4-year college.
No, well, that's not how they publicize. You go to Flint community schools, you can go to college for free.
That's what I understood. Yeah, Flint promise.
Y'all hear that? Now that's something that we need to talk about.
Yeah, and
we will talk about that in the morning. So, Mike, any last words? Any last pleas to the community? Wow.
Yeah. You know, I want to thank like all the people from the community that came forward. Miss Taylor,
yes,
who is a charming, lovely woman, and like people like Miss Taylor and others who came, and basically when I hated what I was doing, when I was sad, they were the ones who helped me up, and so you need to get out there and do that for other people. The public needs to be engaged. You know, I know it stinks. You work all day and then show up at a board meeting and watch a bunch of nonsense. But they're
do it at council.
They're counting. But you know when people count on nonsense, because it drives away the people who have good opinions, who should be weighing in on stuff.
That's very true.
You know, I always say that like I won't do elected office. I have no interest in doing it.
No more, Mike.
No, it's just because I mean, it's too hard and it's made too hard. And so I like being a civil servant. I mean, to me, it's like because it's always clear about my job is to serve the people, you know, and there are many good elected officials. You know, many that I know here in Genesee County, they're great people. They're there for the right reason. But man, it's hard. I don't envy them one bit because when you have ethics and morals, it's a real hard job to do.
You get ran over.
And I don't got time for that right now. Maybe someday. I might change my mind, but I mean, I like what I'm doing.
Just take your bulldoze over there. Well, I want to thank you for coming and sharing your story.
Yeah. This is like therapy for me, though. I kind of get some of the stuff out.
And I'm glad you got it off your chest.
Yeah.
You were, we're friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were so stressed after each meeting.
Yeah.
And it was like.
I mean, everyone can see on TV I've been eating my feelings, so.
They can't see. You look fine. I
can see myself.
Don't point it out. You look fine. But
yeah, I'm gonna do some me time. I'm gonna take care of me a little bit. But I'm mentally back. Like I had to take January off. Like I wanted to go to public comment. I wanted to be there, and I just realized it came up to the meeting. I'm like, I can't. I'm tired. Like I'm tired, and I need to like decompress and stand away for a minute and allow other people's voice too.
Right.
Because it's got to be other people's voice. I'll feel better about not going to a meeting if I know that there are 5 other people there who are saying their truth. So.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for the time that you spent serving the public so well on the Mott Board.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. And like I said, we're going to be at the next board meeting. So come on with y'all signs. Kawana, get ready, because here we come. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
You.